Chapter 14. Zack felt strangely liberated when they passed through the main gate to Terawhiti and out onto South Makara Road on the first part of their trip to Zealandia. It felt almost like a return to civilization after weeks in the wild. In fact, it had been just over a week, and South Makara wasn't exactly the center of civilization, but at least the road was sealed and there were more houses. South Makara Road led to the village of Makara, where Jess lived and went to school. There were no shops or businesses. The biggest buildings were a hall and 2 churches. A right turn would take them to Karori, where Zealandia was. A left to Makara Beach. Jess turned left because she told her mum they'd call in before they went to the wildlife sanctuary. This took them past the school, the smallest Zack had ever seen. "You call it a school?" he said. Jess turned and glared at him. "Yes. What's wrong with it?" "It's so tiny." "Which makes it all the better," said Jess. "Much better than a big city school." "How many kids?" asked Zack. "There were 20 last term, 21 when you start." He pulled a face. "I won't be coming here. Dad is going to teach me at the homestead." Jess's jaw dropped. "You can't do that," she said. "You've got to come here. I was looking forward to it." "Dad's scared it will blow his hiding place if I go to school." A smile crossed Jess's face. "Then we're going to have to work on him, aren't we?" The McGonagall's place was near the end of the line of houses tucked under a hill opposite the Makara stream. Jess led the way inside. Jenny and Will McGonagall were seated at the table having morning tea. Scones with dishes of strawberry jam and whipped cream. "What have you been up to?" said Jenny, pushing the plates of scones and cream across to Zack. "I thought you'd be back almost straight away." "There were lots of cars parked by the Wairiki stream," said Jess. "I went down and took their number plates." She handed a piece of paper to her father. Zack looked up from covering a scone with cream. What was she doing? Was she going to tell them about Tasha after all? Will studied the list. 4 of them. That's more than we've had in a while. I wonder what the attraction is. "A big cat," said Jess. "The internet is full of stuff about a leopard being seen on the farm." Jenny's eyes went wide. "A leopard?" "Yeah, a white one." Zack stuffed the scone into his mouth, hoping his surprise wasn't showing. "It'll be that dog that was on Anastasia," said Will. "I'll bet it's a Dalmatian. You'll see one of those in bushes. You might mistake it for a big cat." "But a leopard?" said Jenny. "That's stretching things a bit." "Pig hunters will see all sorts of things," said Will. "They've got vivid imaginations." He played with the note for a while. "I better give this to Jim. He can find out who they are and warn them off." "There's likely to be more," said Jess. "Yeah, you're right," replied Will. "But I don't know what we can do about it except react when they come." "Aren't there meant to be security guards stopping people going to the wreck?" asked Jenny. "They won't be there now," said Will. "Lance told me last night that the contract finished with the salvage." He turned to Zack. "Lance Murphy runs Makara Security. He had the contract to secure the wreckage. He lives along the road at Makara Beach." Zack nodded, thinking that Lance or his team hadn't done much of a job. He'd never seen them, and they hadn't kept the pig hunters out, nor had the security stopped the Neanderthals from doing whatever they wanted. "Were the Neanderthals working for him?" he asked. Will thought for a moment. "I never asked them about it." "Him about them. Are they still hanging around?" "Yeah," said Jess. "They're looking for the leopard, too." Jenny looked at her husband. "Give Lance a call. See if he knows anything about this." Will swiveled around and grabbed the cordless phone. A moment later he was talking to Lance. After the preliminaries, he asked if Lance knew anything about 2 ugly Russians driving a monster pickup. The answer was long, with Will replying yes and no a few times, before taking a pen and notepad from the windowsill and writing something down. Soon afterwards, the conversation ended. "They weren't working for Lance," said Will. "He met them a few times, and they claimed to be employed by Mikhail Popanov's New Zealand lawyer, somebody named Alexei. They said they were searching through the rubbish, looking for commercially sensitive documents to remove before the salvage crew came in. This Alexei was the same guy who employed Lance, so naturally he accepted what they said." Jenny pointed to the notepad. "Is that the lawyer's number?" Will nodded. I'm going to phone him now." This call was not so easy. First, Will had to get past the switchboard operator who, from the sound of it, had instructions to protect the boss from unwanted calls. Will was left on hold for several minutes before a voice answered, loud enough for Zack to hear. "Alexei Berezovsky, what do you want?" Will identified himself and stated why he was calling. This must have calmed Alexei a little. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter, too low for Zack to make out the words. "Hold on," said Will. "I'll put this on speakerphone." He pressed a button on the phone before placing it in the middle of the table. He turned to Zack. "Alexei wants to know what they look like. You got a closer look than anyone." Began Zack. "They're both short, but heavy. One is bald, or shaves his head. The other—" Alexei interrupted. "Any distinguishing marks?" Yeah. Ivan has a scar alongside his mouth." A gasp came from the phone. Then a tense voice asked, "And the other?" Yuri has funny ears. They're all lumpy." "Cauliflower ears," added Will. There was a silence from the phone. It lasted long enough for Will to ask if anyone was still there. "I know these men," said Alexei, eventually. "Ivan and Vasily Tarasov. They're brothers, and they do not work for me, nor are they working for Mikhail. They are, in fact, his enemies." "Then who are they working for?" "Themselves, or their bosses. They are mobsters. Bratva is what we call them." For a time all they could hear was heavy breathing. "Vasily, the one you call Yuri, once worked on Anastasia. His employment was terminated after he stole some money. He then tried to blackmail Mikhail with documents he had photocopied. That didn't work. Maybe he has been searching around Anastasia, trying to find something more." Jess leaned forward. "Could that be an animal?" After a few seconds of silence, Alexei said, "Why do you ask?" She turned to Zack, raising her eyebrow in question. After a moment, Zack nodded. "We found a food bowl with the name Tasha on it." Again there was a long silence before Alexei answered. "Anything else?" "I saw an animal bed," said Zack. "And I found a roldy with bite marks," added Jess. "All of these things must have come off Anastasia." Alexei sighed. "Yes, there was a pet on Anastasia. Unfortunately, she went overboard and drowned when the boat struck rocks. Mikhail was very upset." "Ivan and Yuri think she's still alive," said Jess. "She is not," said Alexei. "Some pig hunters are saying she is," said Zack. "They claim to have seen an albino leopard." "This is nonsense," said Alexei, his voice so loud it moved the phone. "Tasha was not a leopard. She was a Dalmatian, and she is now dead. The crew saw her drown. It was all very distressing, and if you start spreading lies about this, I will take legal action to stop you. Do you understand?" Before anyone could answer, there was a click from the phone. After that, nothing. Will lifted the handset, pressed a button, and replaced it on the cradle. Only then did he speak. "That man is lying," he said. "Absolutely," said Jenny, "yelling and talking about legal action. It's all bluff. He's hiding something." "But is he hiding a leopard?" asked Will. Jenny turned to Jess. "Have you seen anything like a leopard?" "No," replied Jess quickly. "What about you, Zack?" Zack couldn't meet her gaze. All he could manage was a little shake of his head as he lowered his eyes to study the pattern on the tablecloth.